Welcome everyone. It's really great to be here. I'm Mohamed Enes, representing largest VC in Turkey, Castrum Capital. We are investing in the early stage crypto projects, but we are more than a normal venture capital firm because when we invest any promising deal, right after that we support them for a long-term strategy in terms of marketing, in terms of opening our all VC connections. I'm the CMO of the company, usually working with the top tier one influencers, mainly in Turkey and also global scale. It's really great to be here. We're going to speak about the current market conditions. I know a lot of people are still waiting for the alt seasons. Hope this panel will be very informative for you guys. Also, I hope you're enjoying the foods and snacks and drinks over here. So let's do it.
Hi everybody, I'm Sam Sandiford from BitMEX. I run product and institutional sales at probably the first perpetuals exchange in the crypto space. And we're gradually trying to increase our market share back to where we used to be.
Hi, my name's Nentur. I'm currently the global CEO of Bitmart Exchange. Been in the role for 2 months. Prior to that, I was a partner at Animoca's venture fund. Pleased to be here.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I used to be a fund manager before I bought Apache Penguins. So I started as a community member, a regular holder, but 2 years later, I'm the Apex CEO of Apache Penguins.
Hi, this is Vignesh here. I'm the head of business for the HBAR Foundation, focused on Middle East and South Asian market. Yeah, I've been with them for 4 years. So we are a layer 1 chain, and I'm part of the venture fund.
Thank you for the short introduction. As you know, our topic is we're going to speak about the current market conditions in the crypto space. The first question: how do you describe the current market conditions, and what do you see for the future, near future? What's going to be happening? What's your thoughts on this? Please, we can start with Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, being a derivatives exchange, we look really closely at Bitcoin and everything else follows. We've been range bound for the last month. Everything seems to be a little bit on hold, but you go back 3 months and we were below 70K, so we're higher than we were. I think we're waiting for something to happen, and it's not really just pure geopolitics, and we'll get into that later. So I think we're transition and hopefully transition into a bull run, but we'll see what it becomes.
Yeah.
I guess, current market, I guess I would describe it, it's really somewhat bifurcated at the moment. When you look at as just mentioned, Bitcoin, it's even though there's been a lot of issues geopolitically and such, it's still holding up, fairly strong, above 105K. But I think when I look under the hood at sort of the altcoin market, that tends to be suffering at the moment. And I think largely because of token standards, because of the money that's been drained out of the crypto ecosystem, over the last year or so, with a lot of these, token launchers, market makers. There's a lot of extractive activity, and that's why I see more, whether or not it's liquid funds, venture funds, these hybrid funds. They've been putting their effort into investments that actually can generate liquidity. So that's why everyone's been doing these treasury deals via private investments and public equities. And I think this is a trend that I don't necessarily see ending in the short term. And plus with the massive unlocks from venture funds that came about, 2021, 2022. I think that continues to be an overhang for the broader altcoin market. I ran into one former portfolio company at Permissionless, and he was telling me there's 1% unlock every month, and this is going to be happening for the next 24 months. So it definitely, it's a tale of two markets. On one hand, you have the majors that are getting a constant bid from these treasuries. On the other hand, you're sort of, you're in a tough place, at least I would say, at least for the next 12 to 24 months or so.
So do you think that there will be alt season for the next cycle?
I mean, I believe in seasonality. I believe in cycles. I do believe the current market structure we should try to keep an open mind and view things differently. Is there a super cycle? I don't know. Maybe for Bitcoin, but in terms of just looking at the millions of tokens that have been created, some VC backed, others not. I think you can't deny the supply and demand dynamics, right? The fact is there's just too much supply, not enough demand. I mean, that's why a lot of folks tend to focus these days more on what's going to generate institutional demand, because that's sort of the only demand that's strong enough to actually pick up and absorb that supply. Retail, as we know it, I think the folks that, I mean, obviously there's still a lot of folks that can be converted and onboard into Web3, but someone was saying yesterday at a keynote at the main event that, onboarding the next billion users, it seems like a lot has been onboarded, it's been happening, but whether or not, is there buying capacity from these users? That's the question. And so far, I think we've seen from what happened with, all these meme coins and, rug pulls that, billions have been sucked out.
Actually, industry is changing, but yeah, we'll see what's going to be happening. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think I agree with that there. I think venture is not in a good spot right now. No one's doing venture deals. But I would say that Bitcoin is viewed as a commodity right now. Like there's like 60 to 70 Bitcoin treasury company popping up in the world. Even I actually invested in Malaysia's first ever crypto fund management company. In fact, we are seeing demands up to $100 million of institutional demand on like assets like Bitcoin, ETH. So yeah, I think right now the current market, the insti flow is here. I think it will continue. I think the price reflects the market. I think Bitcoin is like 507,000 USD still, and auth is not running. So I think we're going to continue to see this trend, and I think this is great for retail eventually, right? Because when your mom and your father and your big companies in your country are into Bitcoin, that actually creates confidence in retail. And when retail is confident, they will spend, right? They're like, what is this ecosystem? And I hope that Pudgy will be in a good position, or at least Igloo, which is the company behind Pudgy. We also have Abstract, our layer 2 consumer chain. I hope that we are, when the super cycle comes, we are in a good spot to capture all this value where all the consumer spendings are coming into the market. And I believe that we are at this stage where we have so many innovative tech of the last 10 to 15 years, but we don't really have innovation on culture, fun, and identity. And that's really what we're innovating, right? We need to build products that people love, people enjoy using, that they don't feel like it's super technical to use. I think that would be the trend that we are actually architecting into.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. What's your perspective, Vignesh, as a VC?
Yeah, from our side, we don't consider ourselves a VC because we are a foundation.
Okay.
So our focus is ecosystem. So at least I can say from a layer 1, how we look at it. For us, we are a predominantly an American-based firm. So it's good for us with current administration supporting us. So it's basically opening us, especially from the traditional investment side. So we see a lot of B2B kind of ecosystem driving, especially in the RWA. Before it was just stocks. Now we see institutions coming in, deploying, and we are talking to family offices, institutions, funds. They are all ready to deploy at least 10-20% of their assets on chain. Starting with money markets, treasuries, commodities, so you name it, everything is coming slowly. And with stablecoin, getting acceptance, I think it's going to be big. And we are actively deploying. I know VCs are not deploying, but we are. Okay. So we are actually working with startups because it's the time to build. And we see a lot of seriousness, right? And the B2B side, of course, on the B2C side as well. But on the B2B side, we see a lot of seriousness coming in. We have companies that's basically setting up in Middle East now. A lot of these setting up in Abu Dhabi, right? Based in Dubai, you know how it is. So very serious because the framework is all set. in Dubai and Abu Dhabi is very good frameworks they've set, especially on the security token, compliance, everything is set. We see a lot of these American firms setting up their operations in Abu Dhabi, ADGM and UAE, and we have some very good deals coming through. What's happening, what's interesting is they are bridging the traditional finance with DeFi. So what's going to happen, we see, is there's will be a combination where we're going to use the collateral from the centralized finance side and how we're going to bridge it to the decentralized finance. And I think stable coins will be the key. And eventually banks have to adopt it. And we think that's going to basically change the regulation. And that's why we are actively working. So if anybody's there, happy to discuss.
Thank you. Thank you for the.
Okay, can I just echo on the stablecoin point? I think what we're seeing right now is a sort of fueling stage. Big institutional money is getting ready to deploy into crypto, and they're comfortable with stablecoins. They can use stablecoins already to trade on derivatives with collateral, but they're not fully deploying it to other things yet. So we're seeing a little bit of a race as to which stablecoins will win. JPMD obviously came out fairly recently. Ripple is doing a big push with Ripple Dollar. That universe will consolidate first while these institutions get more comfortable. They're late to the party, but they have the big bucks, and they'll be pushing probably in 6 to 12 months' time. If the opportunity arises sooner, some of them will go faster.
Yeah. Thank you. Right, I'm heading the next question. The question is, what macroeconomic or regulatory trends are having the biggest impact on the Web3 right now? Yeah, we can start with the center.
So again, I mean, it's one word, and it's really Trump. The changes in the US this year have been remarkable in their pace. From a personal side on BitMEX founders were pardoned for their charges earlier in the year. That happened over the course of 3 weeks. So everything is moving fast. It might change back even during Trump's administration, we don't know. But effectively, that's where the action happens. We see Coinbase listing perps in 3 weeks' time. Robinhood will definitely follow. That is defining how the whole world of crypto is going to work, even if there's a regulatory divide between the US and the rest of the world. That's what's driving the agenda, I think, mostly.
Right. Yeah, please go on.
I think it's clearly, as mentioned, it's really just all about the US right now. I think everyone's sort of, just even on the stablecoin side, right? Because of the US's willingness to act, then you have government bodies in Hong Kong, for example, pushing much faster, pushing the deadline. So you're starting to see, this is something that's going to continue happening, right? Everyone's sort of following the footsteps of the US regulatory stance.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think US is leading the charge here, and in fact, it's pushing other countries to, care more about this space. I think Singapore recently just tightened up the regulation on this space as well. In Malaysia, I think last week there's this Malaysian-backed stablecoin pop up. so I think you get to see more and more of this coming out from sandboxes around different governments, and I also agree. I think stablecoin, I didn't mention that just now. I think stablecoin infra is like 90% there. And even for Pudgy side, we've been seeing so many requests to collaborate on the payment side, right? Like everyone is doing a payment app. So I think we are at this stage where I think it's inevitable that crypto will be more and more mainstream because all this infrastructure and all this stablecoin asset is approaching maturity.
Do you think, do we need more stable coins like this? Do we really need that? What do you think?
Well, I think it's gonna be like the typical forex currency, right? Like I think every country want to own a stablecoin, or maybe every company want to own a stablecoin. I don't know. Like I think the beauty is to see how this turn out, and I believe Tether is coming out with a new stablecoin, like an RWA backed stablecoin. So I think really interesting stuff happening in this space.
Okay. Please go on.
Yeah, just adding on to what I said, it's a Trump factor. So basically, that's the factor that's helping us as well. So Hedera, to be honest, is pumped as well because of that. And the US tokens and US countries are predominantly, I think, we have a positive outlook. And we are working with the regulators in the US. That basically that's helping us to adopt that, bring it to Middle East. So working with Wara, for example, in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, so it's easy for us to have a conversation. Because most of these fund managers are also present there. So it's easy to have a conversation there. So we see, as the gentleman mentioned, I think slowly institutions are open, and it's very serious right now. And before it was like central bank digital currencies and all that. And I think that's a big part now. So the stable coin, especially USDC Circle, has been doing very well. And I think we are working with them as well. And we see a lot of banks coming up with their own stable coin, payment companies, payment processors and all that. But I think it's still early to see who's going to win because that's still in the early stages. But I think it's exciting for us because bringing the Web 2 users to Web 3 and then another way around, an easy, seamless flow of liquidity between the TradFi and TradFi is the exciting part that we are looking at. And we are helping with creating the infrastructure for that right now.
Great. So I would love to also touch the narrative and trend side. You know, as you know, guys, the last cycle actually trend was AI urgence, RWA, etc. Do you think these narratives will continue for the next cycle? What's your thoughts on this, Samir?
I think probably yes. I mean, we've just been talking about RWA and stablecoins, so Spencer said it's something that's going to drive things. AI is just really beginning, right? I think we're beginning to understand what AI can do and also the limitations. So LLM is going to be the dominant thing to speed things up. But the next gen of AI, it may not come this cycle, but things that go beyond like interpolating within data points we already have and managed to successfully extrapolate from the feeding information they've got, that could be super interesting. But it's still a tech barrier that needs to be broken down. There's a lot of effort going to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I tend to agree. I do think with RWA and tokenization of assets, there's no shortage of supply on that side to have illiquid assets tokenized. So I can see that continuing. Whether or not you're making money on it from an investment perspective is another, and the demand side, I think that's another conversation. But AI as well. I think. It's just the beginning. I guess to me, it's really not necessarily about the narrative. It comes down to how well the investment is structured. Because right now you have sort of, there's no framework around it, at least not in the past. And then you have, folks like the Blockworks team coming together with token guidelines and frameworks, right? Because there's no, this happened in TradFi, right? When, for example, like leverage loans started to become a thing, they set up the LSTA, an association by just a couple of different banks. So similar things are happening in our industry now. So I do believe it ultimately ends up coming down to the value accrual for the underlying investment, whether or not it's equity or token, because now as a VC investor, historically, we didn't really care about the stakes, right? It's really about the token. But now it might be different depending on which is receiving most of the value that's being generated. So I think that is in part more important than there's going to be narratives across different GameFi, AI, DeFi, etc. But it ultimately just comes down to the which ones are innovating and which ones are actually driving that value accrual.
This is correct. But the people and also a lot of VCs, they are only taking care of it for the token side and trying to make the money. Especially in the market, they are only focusing to making money with crypto. Nobody care about the product or utility side, if I'm not mistaken, right? This is my idea, what I see.
I definitely think there's a very large, I would say there's a lot of, I'm sure coming from the VC side, you know as well as I do that I would say over 99% of projects that I would look at, I ultimately would not invest, right? It comes down to, but that's just the, I think that's the standard distribution when you're in VC land. You have to really find the ones that actually can justify as an longer term investment. We all know that crypto itself a lot of it is driven by shorter to mid-term momentum to sort of generate returns, which is fine. I think that's something that we have to accept when dealing with this asset class. But I think as the industry is starting to mature, you have to folks are looking at it more from a longer term perspective. Even retail, I think retail, if you've been in the game for a couple of years or one or two cycles, you learn and you sort of it's not like people just stay in the same place forever, right? It's like, oh yeah, maybe I joined because of some meme hype or whatnot, but ultimately as you go down the rabbit hole and you start figuring out, hey, I like the space, let's see what's actually I can put my money to work for the longer term. So I think it's just part of the natural evolution.
Yeah. Thank you. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think AI is our savior, right? I think if you look at second half of last year, we had this meme coin super cycle. That is really narrative driven, and I don't think whoever that profit from this phenomenon actually redeploy the capital into innovation. I don't think so, right? Because most of them are kids who hit the jackpot, right? So I'm glad that projects like AI16Z or even Virtuous Protocol, they started the whole trend, and Virtuous is a Malaysian company as well. And I think when they first started the trend, second half of the year, it was just like AI agent coins, right? And in fact, you look at it, it's almost like a meme coin as well, just like AI agent kind of narrative. But this year is a bit different, right? This year they are innovating stuff like agent-to-agent commerce protocol, right? Basically, they are building a future where your agents are working for you, they are automating all your tasks and workflow, and how do they communicate with each other, right? And I think crypto plays a huge part in this because crypto is the only asset that can be the currency between all these AI agents, and that basically help us in our productivity in our work, right, day to day. And if I'm not mistaken, like 99%, like by end of this year, 99% of programming and coding is going to be coded by AI agents, right? Human are not even coding. We are not even using like Google search to search for stuff anymore. We just use our ChatGPT, right? So I think this is a blessing to the industry, not just crypto, but to the whole world. And I think crypto is at the center of it. And it's really like a user onboarding, user experience kind of innovation. This space is so exciting. There's so many things to be seen. And I'm glad that we moved away from meme coin to this kind of phenomenon, and then we have the institutional flow as well. I think we are in a very good spot to really to make really crypto mainstream.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. But for the meme coins, I think especially last cycle, beginning of the 2025, they're just getting all liquidity in the market, right? That's why maybe alt season also a bit delayed. That's why I don't like meme coins. Just to be honest.
Yeah, just adding on from my side, I think RWA is already in. It's almost in the mature. The trend is already mature. We see a lot of things going on. But from the AI side, it's still early. So I've been talking to the leading companies like Stability.ai, OpenAI, and Google. I've been talking to them, to the leadership. I think it's still early, but I think especially I work a lot in the media entertainment space. I see a lot of opportunity on the B2C side of things. I think it's going to revolutionize a lot. And we are working with the large Oscar winners, Grammy Award winners. They're coming out with new age media IPs using AI. You can call them as avatars, or you can call them as agents. So eventually they're all going to converse with their fans. The fan engagement is going to be different, and we are going to use Web3 as a layer to engage with the fans, where fans can have ownership over their assets, including everything, right? NFTs and all that. So that's going to happen, and AI is going to enable that. But it'll all be in the background. I don't think the normal user is going to care. Whether it's AI or Web3, who cares? As long as he's able to get their asset seamlessly, that's what's going to happen. But we see a lot of opportunities there. We're already working with major LLM companies. But traditionally, the discussion has been on the use case, Web2 side. They don't care. It's Web3, blockchain, they don't care. As long as the use case defines narrative, that happens. But RWA definitely, I think RWA side, I see the maturity is happening on the tokenization and B2B side. But on the BTC side, we quickly make sure it's more use case defined. Because the normal user, we want to bring in, he just wants to engage for entertainment industry, I would say. Where we're using AI as a token for basically giving ownership to the fans. So companies like Republic, you might know, they're one of the largest on the side. So they basically do help in tokenization of media IPs. And this is where we think future of AI, at least in the B2C side, I could see. It will be in the backside of things.
Okay. Thank you. So this question actually coming from my end. It's about the Bitcoin ecosystem and Bitcoin price. Especially last year, Bitcoin ETF supported price, and then so some of the countries they just announced their Bitcoin reserve. That's why I think the Bitcoin domination is still high and very high. In this scenario, what do you see for the next years or next cycle for the Bitcoin side? What's going to be happening? What's your expectation?
So we're predominantly a Bitcoin exchange, so this is quite close to our heart. We've already said Bitcoin is becoming more of a commodity, and I think with that it becomes a reserve at the same time. So you mentioned countries putting up reserves, so we see the only way is up. Now, our founder Arthur Hayes likes to call big numbers, 250k by the end of the year. I'm going to disagree with him publicly that we don't get there that quickly, but if we're around 150k by the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think there's definite. There needs to be a trigger, and the actions in this a little bit east of this part of the world recently haven't really pushed things up, but there'll be something over the next 3 to 6 months that gets us probably to 150k. And then you can see Arthur will be writing about 500k or $1 million.
Hopefully it's going to be happening.
Some people like to sell their own book.
Hopefully it's going to happen. So yeah, we can continue with you.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I think the 250 might be a stretch by the end of the year, but I don't see why 150 we can't hit that prior to year end. I mean, look, I think as long as there's a constant bid from these treasury programs via these reverse mergers, SPACs, I don't see it slowing down. I mean, Michael Saylor, every time over the weekend, he posts these the orange dots where he's buying, and you just see it doesn't go down. So I mean, as long as you have that constant bid, I mean, longer term, I definitely see. I can see where Bitcoin is. As it's become commoditized, right? So naturally the return profile will not be the same as prior cycles. But at the same time, as stablecoins are become more widely used, I just can't think of a better asset that folks would want. Even retail, I don't see a better asset that you can put your money into besides Bitcoin. So I'm fairly bullish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nothing much to say. I think it's only up only. I hope we reach 1 million Bitcoin one day. I think it's a matter of when. It's not. Maybe not this year, 250. Maybe not this year. I don't know. Crazier things have happened, right? So, but yeah, I think talking about this ecosystem, definitely extremely bullish. And then you have to start thinking about layer 2 Bitcoin, trustless yield. I think Stack is giving like 4% yield per annum. So I think when companies and people who matters hold Bitcoin in the reserve, they will start to look at how do they collateralize that, do some fancy stuff, right? I think Bitcoin ecosystem is entering this renaissance period as this narrative getting more mainstream on the governmental side and the corporate side and entity side. So exciting to see, because if Bitcoin wins, then the whole industry wins, I think. So we definitely need to root for success.
Right.
Yeah, just I think agreeing to what everybody's saying. Nothing much to add, but I would say I think it's slowly becoming the reserve currency. But eventually, the governments, the funds, will start holding Bitcoins. That's a good start, especially for funds like us. Probably that's a good start. That's like a benchmark. With Bitcoin, then I consider gold. So then you have Ethereum, like silver.
Yeah.
So eventually, everybody will come in, right? That's good for us, for the industry.
Yeah, we'll see. Can't wait. The crypto is very excited. So thank you for your valuable thoughts. It was really amazing panel and very informative panel. Thank you for joining us today, and big applause for our panelists. Thank you for listening to us. And we are having the next panel.